monthly jobs report released this morning shows mixed signs about the economy. The Labor Department reports 275,000 new jobs in February. Now, that is well above expectations. Unemployment did tick higher to 3.9%, but still below the 4% level. Acting U.S. Labor Secretary Julie Su shared her reaction to the report on the CBS Morning News.
Labor force participation remains strong. In fact, women's labor force participation rate increased. Women continue to power this economic recovery, and the jobs creation was broad-based across multiple industries. We saw it in healthcare. We saw transportation and warehousing go up, restaurants and bars, social assistance, as well as government. So all around a continued strong, stable economic recovery and economy.
And with us now here in Studio 57 is CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger and Daniel Zhao, lead economist and senior manager at Glassdoor. Welcome to you both. It's great to see you. Jill, I want to start with you. So you had the number of jobs higher than expected, but unemployment ticked up. So how should we think about that? Is there cause for concern there?
I don't think so. I think there's a couple of things. I think the number better than expected, take it with a grain of salt, because these reports have 2 subsequent months where we can see revisions. And in fact, the 2 previous months together were revised lower by a combined 167,000 jobs. I mean, we still have a solid job creation number, about 250,000 a month for the past 14 months or so. But that unemployment rate is kind of interesting because, as you said, it's still relatively low, but 3.9% is the highest pace in about 2 years. Doesn't look like the labor market's rolling over, but maybe we're in some sort of transition period here.
Maybe. All right. Well, Daniel, let's talk about wage growth because it slowed to 0.1% last month. It sounds like bad news for workers, but I'm wondering, is there actually some good news then when it comes to inflation?
Well, for the wage growth picture over the last year is about 4.3%, and that is starting to exceed inflation. We are seeing real wage gains, especially for folks at the bottom of the income distribution. And so that is potentially a good sign, especially if it gives the Federal Reserve a little bit more confidence that we are reaching that soft landing, that there aren't going to be inflationary pressures coming from wage growth. But of course, that process of getting us to a soft landing, I think for a lot of folks is difficult because wage growth and inflation don't always fall at the same pace.
Yeah. So then, Jill, what about that? I mean, is this going to likely impact the Fed's decision when it comes to interest rates?
Well, I think what's amazing is we seem to not take Fed Chair Powell at his word, and he keeps telling us the exact same thing. We're probably not raising rates. He testified before Congress this week. He's saying that we're going to lower rates. It's not going to happen at the March meeting, probably not going to happen at the May meeting, but maybe at the June meeting. I think the Fed wants to be clear that inflation is not just coming down. So directionally, that yes, that's good, but it's coming down in a way that they feel confident it's not going to bubble back up anytime soon. I just thought that there was this interesting paper I just read. I'd love to get your input on this from the IMF. It's a working paper. And it said one of the big problems with our inflation measures is it doesn't account for the fact that on the ground, there are a lot of people paying a lot more money because of higher interest rates to maybe put money towards that credit card debt, or their auto loan has become more expensive. And so I wonder if we can explain how consumers are feeling more under the gun because we're not really accounting for the fact that they are paying so much more in interest rate for tens of millions of Americans, right?
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that, Daniel?
Yeah, it's absolutely something that I've heard is people talking about the reason they feel like inflation is hurting them is not just about food prices or not just about fuel prices. It is also about seeing that 7% mortgage rate maybe when they're trying to buy.
Psychological impact, right?
Exactly. And theoretically, as interest rates rise, that should cool down the housing market, that should slow down the economy to get inflation under control again. But I think for a lot of people, there's that sticker shock of seeing those high rates, whether it's on a mortgage or credit card debt or an auto loan. And that definitely impacts sentiment. It makes people feel like they don't have as much money.
So against that backdrop, Joe, we heard President Biden last night tout the state of the economy, the robust economy, he said. So I wonder if when you look at this jobs report, does that support his claim?
I think that the jobs report and the job creation numbers are solid. The unemployment rate remains below this 4%. Inflation is coming down. But But again, people are feeling pressure, and that feeling is expressed in a lot of our sentiment surveys. So I think objectively, he's the economist. Yeah. I'm just the one who talks about the economist. But I think objectively, we look at the numbers, we're like, hey, things feel like this is good. These are good numbers. But again, your lived experience on the ground may be different. And maybe if you don't have any credit card debt, or maybe you've got a 3% 30-year fixed rate mortgage and you have been getting decent cost of living increases, maybe you're feeling okay. But there are a lot of people who are not feeling okay. And I think that's what's showing up in a lot of our polling data at CBS News and also in these sentiment surveys.
Yeah, that feeling dictates their consumer choices
exactly
and their behavior.
Right.
Yeah, all right. Well, Jill Schlesinger, Daniel Zhao, great to see you both. Thank you.